Good morning, everybody, and a happy Friday morning to you. We have a lot of royal family news, but we also have some very interesting Meghan stuff that's popped up. So let's take a look at all of that and jump in and get busy, shall we? Let's go. We're starting off with Zara and Mike Tyndall. They are celebrating 14 years of marriage. For those of you who don't know, they met in Australia during the 2003 Rugby World Cup. Zara was 22 and was on her gap year at the time, and she was with friends. So they met apparently at a bar and numbers were exchanged. And I had no idea that they dated for 7 years before they got married. So 7 years of dating, and 7 months after announcing their engagement, they got married. And then, of course, the children started coming, the fabulous children. 2 daughters and 1 son, and they are a very, very happy couple. That's what happens when you don't marry in haste. I love them. Good for them. Let's move on. King Charles and William. Now, we know that William was there when the championship was won, and we know that the king put out a fabulous message. 65,000 people, they're saying, lined the streets to catch a glimpse of them as they rode on buses. We know that Beatrice was in the crowds, but you know who wasn't there? The king and the Prince of Wales. And of course, that's because the king is still in Scotland and the Prince of Wales is on vacation with his children for summer holidays. I don't see what the big deal is. All right, let's move on. All right, let's move on now to Princess Catherine, the Princess of Wales. All right, we remember when Catherine went back in June to visit the V&E East Shore house. Remember, we discussed this and I showed you all the fabulous pictures of her. She was looking really dapper and well in that blue outfit that she was wearing. And she loved walking around and looking at all of the interesting things that were there. Remember, I showed you all of this. Well, apparently, she stepped away from her summer holiday to share a personal message about the importance of creativity and historic objects because she has opened a new curated display herself. Now remember, she's patron of the Victoria and Albert Museum. She has unveiled her own mini display at the V&A East Shore House in East London. She added a handwritten message titled Makers and Creators, and she wrote, "Objects can tell a story, and a collection of objects can create a narrative, both about our past and as inspiration for the future. And this display celebrates our past makers and creators and illustrates how much historical objects can influence fashion, design, film, art, and creativity." Now, she basically did an exhibition of Beatrix Potter. She used her watercolor painting of a forest glade. She did a Ming Dynasty porcelain vase from the 17th century China, a Welsh hand-quilted bed cover, a Royal Ballet costume designed by Oliver Messel, a 15th century church tile from Somerset. All of these interesting items were in this miniature display. Now, it's being reported that Catherine worked personally with the curatorial team at the museum to select 8 significant works from across its large collection for her exhibition. You guys should also know that they also released some new pictures that were taken back in June, but that were not released. And she was looking at these absolutely gorgeous jewelry boxes. Just amazing. All right, let's move on. All right, you guys remember back when PETA attacked William and Catherine for, breeding their Cocker Spaniel one time, and they put out this image of William playing with the puppies, and so PETA attacked, saying they were staggeringly out of touch, churning out a litter when animal shelters are overflowing with puppies. Okay, well, I kind of agree with that. You guys know how I feel. So after PETA did that, advisors at the PETA Watch campaign are urging companies like the Body Shop to reconsider backing PETA, saying it beggars belief that any high-profile and self-respecting business would want to associate with an organization as extreme as PETA. The group pointed out that since PETA didn't apologize to William and Catherine for the upset that its media stunt generated, tells you everything you need to know about these particular activists. To try to capitalize on the most difficult time in Catherine's life for publicity is despicable. despicable. He said PETA has form when it comes to seeking publicity by attacking well-known public figures like the royal family and celebrities. And its cynical approach to generating these headlines, it's doing it just to survive. And he went on to say that corporations shouldn't give PETA any money. Don't associate. You know, I can't figure out why PETA didn't say anything about the fact that Meghan Markle adopted a shelter dog, and when the dog didn't like Harry, she dumped it off with some neighbors back in Canada. Or how about her other dog, Guy, the one who recently passed away, who had this mysterious injury with multiple broken bones? We don't know how it happened. Nobody's talking, but what really got me was this poor dog being held up by the collar by Harry while he's trying to propose to Meghan. So until PETA wants to be fair about things, I don't want to hear anything from them. Moving on, Prince William. This is fabulous. He has announced the latest stage of his social housing project to help get rid of homelessness. There is a property in South London owned by William's Duchy of Cornwall estate, and it's going to be converted into 16 apartments to provide affordable homes for people aged 18 to 25 years old. It's called the Innovative Housing Project, and it is in the London borough of Lambeth, which is one of the 6 locations Homeward is working in, because they're trying to create this blueprint to end homelessness in all of its forms. The planning proposal was endorsed by the Lambeth Council's Planning Applications Committee, so work can begin as soon as possible, and they're expecting the homes to be ready and people moving in by the end of 2026. You know, he started Homewards 2 years ago and he's already in the delivery mode. That just shows that he gets stuff done. All right, let's move on. We have Princess Anne, the Princess Royal. She is seen out visiting the rehearsal for the Royal Edinburgh Military Tattoo 2025 at the Redford Barracks in Scotland. Some of the people she met while she was there were members of the Ukrainian naval band who will be performing in this year's tattoo. Again, one of the hardest working royals. I would love to meet her. I bet she could have some really interesting conversations. And on her way out, of course, she was handed some gorgeous flowers. Let's move on. Next up, this is really cool. The Coldstream Guards Band played an emotional tribute to Ozzy Osbourne in London. They played the Black Sabbath hit song Paranoid. Now we know that during his funeral, they marched him through the city center. And so the Coldstream Guards stood outside Buckingham Palace with their instruments to perform. And it was wonderful. If I remember correctly, they also played a tribute to Meatloaf when he passed away as well. Fabulous. All right, let's move on to our Harry and Meghan stuff. Meghan Markle has come out announcing her very first wine restock with a little bit of a change from the first batch. Her last batch was the 2023 Napa Valley Rosé. Now it's the 2024 Napa Valley Rosé. Okay, you guys are going to think I'm crazy, but I personally believe that they used what was left over, and that's what they put out. Does that make sense what I'm saying? The winery had this wine, and so it's the new vintage, and it's going to be available next week, and blah, blah, blah. And that's what is going on, in my opinion. Now, supposedly, this is a new product, but people are not that enthused about it because it's not different from the last product. You know, it's new. It's not new. You just happen to have the bottles from 2024 now that the winery wasn't able to get out and sell. So they basically slapped the as ever label on it and sent it out. Now, of course, Meghan puts out, this affirmed all of the love, time, and effort our team and our founder poured into curating this blend to invoke the sun-drenched spirit of Napa Valley and the breathtaking tenor of the California coast. Thank you for filling our cup. Now it's time for you to fill your glasses. And we're pleased to share our 2024 Napa Valley Rosé will be available for purchase next week. Once again, they don't tell you how many bottles are there, how many are available for purchase. You probably have to buy 3 at a time. Remember, if they only have 500 bottles of this and you have to buy 3 bottles at the time, that means that they can only sell to 167 people. You get what I'm saying? And then she's like, oh, it's sold out. It's the oldest trick in the book. I have to tell you that I feel like this stuff is being restocked very quickly because the contract is coming to an end. I don't know what Netflix is going to do. Are they going to cancel their contract but keep up with the As Ever program? Because after all, they're linked to it and that's how she's selling her products. It'll be interesting to see what happens. All right, let's move on now. All right, here we go. We're going to change this up just a little bit. Oprah Winfrey apparently has a private road on her property. It runs through her estate. But that's the road that the locals needed to escape following the tsunami warning in Hawaii. So the locals are trying to get up this road, and apparently it was reported by multiple people that they had been turned around because the road was closed. Now, allegedly, supposedly, somebody has a video of them being turned around and told, get off. This is private property. However, as soon as it came out what was going on, Oprah Winfrey immediately said that it was untrue. As soon as we heard about the warnings, we contacted FEMA and law enforcement. We wanted to make sure the road was open, and any reports otherwise are false. That came from an Oprah spokesperson. And it didn't take long for People magazine, Meghan's go-to magazine, to announce that Oprah opened her private road for the evacuation. She's so magnanimous, and she was helping residents evacuate the area. What a wonderful person she is, supposedly, allegedly. Now, as I said, supposedly, allegedly, there's a video of people trying to get up that road and being turned around at the gate. You can't really say that it didn't happen if somebody, I'm not talking about deep fake guys. I mean, somebody's in their car driving up the road trying to get away from the tsunami, and somebody at the gate at the private residence turns them around. This reminds me so much of when she and The Rock were begging people, two multi-millionaires begging people for money to help Hawaii after the fires. Ugh. All right, let's move on. Next up, a big thank you to the Duchess of Chunga Chunga for pointing out what's going on in the magazines. That is insane. All right, we have some other news. Let's keep going. All right, we're going back to William and Catherine for just a second. Apparently, during their summer break, they took a vacation on board a super yacht off of the coast of Greece. And it's been under the radar up until now. I mean, even the reporting about it is a little, but according to the Daily Mail, stories began popping up in the Greek media about July 19th that they were enjoying the largeness of Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan's, huge yacht. And the outlet also said that William and Kate's trip was ignored by the British media but picked up around the world. So the truth is, they were actually on a boat called the Almax, which is one of the world's first fuel cell super yachts. It is worth 40 million pounds. It's not theirs, but it is sustainable boating. And so we know that William and Charlotte left the trip to watch Lioness, and then apparently their whole family's back in England. But so they rented a boat that is sustainable, and they went yachting, and people are upset. And no, it was not the Sheik's boat. Ugh, people need to get a grip. And FYI, this picture they put in the article was before William and Catherine were married. This is old. All right, let's move on. Well, in the meantime, Harry and Meghan have been criticized because they keep attracting attention, but it's for all the wrong reasons. Everything from losing Netflix to leaking the details of the meeting with the King's aides. Basically, Harry and Meghan are always big news, but it's not good news. It's not good publicity. And in this case, that's not a good thing. In the meantime, it's still being reported that Harry is absolutely desperate to win back the royal family and get back into the fold. I'm sorry, guys. Everything he's doing is self-serving. It's not notable, and it's not going to do much to mitigate the suspicion and caution that the royals have on their side. King Charles, they're saying, is even more guarded now than ever because he's just traumatized by the sting of betrayals from Harry. And while Harry is trying to get back, they're saying that Meghan is waging an invisible Cold War. Her decision isn't to confront the royal family openly, but adopt more subtle and strategic tactics. So she's chosen to provoke and threaten in secret to keep tensions alive without it seeming like she's behind it, although everybody knows that she is. The strategy is to wear down, from the shadows. It generates uncertainty and constant pressure on the crown. Meghan doesn't want to go back to the UK. And so stories like this are being put out. Meghan and Harry could make even more money next year. And even though it's a goldmine offer, what goldmine offer? We know that the Netflix deal is kaput, but they're saying that after less than impressive viewing figures in Meghan's With Love and Harry's documentary about polo, it looks like what's actually happening is Ted Sarandos, she's saying, is still keen to work with the pair. Ted's support of Meghan can be the pair's secret weapon. There will be, they're saying, a third series of the Duchess's lifestyle show if she wants to make them. And according to the article, of course she does. They're wanting to line them up with the huge deal that Barack and Michelle Obama hold. And it said that future programs could show an insider look at the festive periods of the pair with any announcements, blah, blah, blah. You know what? This is just PR crap. It's not believable anymore. If anybody had any doubt how America feels about Meghan and this show, a poll was done, a YouGov poll, and what it showed was that less than half of American adults even knew about the show, and only 19 of those who took part in the poll expressed positive views on it. Listen, if you don't have the public, you have nothing. And you guys know what I want. Put those comments down. Make them good. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. Then go down into the description box where you'll find the link to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, a link to my second channel, a link to my father's book, which is still up for sale on Amazon, and a link to my Amazon wish list, as well as a physical address. For those of you who have donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.